Hey everyone, welcome back to the Home Care Strategy Lab. I'm your host, Miriam Allred. Hope everyone's having a great week. It's great to be back with you. I'm super excited for today's episode. We've got Nick Provost, the Director of Client and Community Relations at Gratitude Homecare, located in New Jersey. Nick, welcome to the lab.
Big fan. Thank you for having me.
Big fan.
Big fan.
Time to get you in the hot seat. You and I have just recently connected, and I've been super impressed with you and love the passion and excitement that I've just gauged from you in a short period of time. And also, your story is incredible, and what you're doing is awesome. And so, naturally, wanted to have you on the show. So let's start with a good old fashioned introduction. I think most people listening probably don't know you. You're maybe
Yeah.
a new face and a new voice to a lot of people. But tell your story. Talk about your background. How did you get into home care?
So, I was actually home care was a family business. My grandmother in the 80s, part-time, she taught a home health aid class. And over the years, the classes got bigger and bigger and bigger. And my mother, who was also a nurse, recognized this. And my father quit his job uh, being a CPA, and my mom left the local hospital, and they created a home care company in 1984. Um, Fast forward, my first job in home care I was 17 years old. I just got my license, and I was transporting home health aides from their home to the homes of our patients. This was before Uber and Lyft. I don't miss those days at all, but you learn a lot. You learn a lot. And I grew up in a home with home health aides, caring for my grandmother, my great grandmother. And after I graduated college, it was only natural to go into the family business. So at 23 years old, I um, joined on, and I was mostly in marketing and social media, which was getting really big. And, I did a good amount of private pay business development. And then I kind of had to just get into operations. We were a Medicaid mostly agency, 6 locations throughout the state of New Jersey, and we needed all hands on deck. So at 25, I was managing the 6 locations, and we were doing great. Then my father got sick, and we got a great offer. And I said, "Dad, everything's going to be fine. You enjoy your retirement down the Jersey Shore." And trust me, he is. So I've been navigating my way through the home care industry since then. And COVID hit, uh, fell out of love with the industry. And I was managing a small home care company not far from here. And little over 2 years ago, I met the owner of Gratitude Homecare. Her name is Yella Moretic, and she had a smaller operation, family, homegrown business. It was everything that I was used to. And, Yella is a visionary. She works hard. She does not cut corners. And we connected instantly. And I loved everything that she was doing, and I loved her vision. And when she asked me to come on to be basically, so it's director of client and community relations, but it's business development. So when she asked me, it'd been a long time. I was used to speaking with families. I did intakes and loved it, but the networking aspect and the daily grind was something that was unfamiliar. And she asked me to come on. She thought I'd be perfect for the role, and I loved what she was doing, and I never had a chance. It was a match. So when I signed on, we spent 2 months in a conference room, just going over accounts, going over uh, business, and where we can find the clientele that we're looking for. And she did like a soft introduction to this world of home care that I never really knew. And then when she knew I was ready, she just said, "Nick, go be yourself, and this is all gonna pay off." So fast forward to now, I I can't thank her enough for saying what she saw in me, and, here we are, Miriam.
Great, great story.
Yeah.
When you say she showed you a side of home care that you didn't know, what are you referring to exactly?
Well, a lot of our patients are in assisted living. They need that extra one-on-one care. Before I sign on with Gratitude, if someone mentioned assisted living, I'd be like, "Oh, your loved one's not in the home? That's terrible. How could you pull them?" It just
Mm.
and then I started seeing a lot of these assisted livings, and they have pools and bars and happy hour, and it's like, where do I sign up? So I get it, but assisted living is assisted. It's not one-on-one, and people are aging in place, and they need that extra attention. So that was a side of home care I did not know, and
Hmm.
so it's not just home care; it's wherever these people in need call home. So we'll go wherever they are.
And that's a part of gratitude's service is placement then. I
Yes.
am assuming that's what you're referring to. So yeah, maybe break down a little bit of like the demographic
Well,
of
it's not.
gratitude because that will be helpful for the conversation. The service lines, the payers.
Yeah, so it's not the placement aspect. These are actually people in assisted living that need that one-on-one with a home health aide. So we also do placement, and um, that service line came from, this mainly happens with our patients in the home with dementia, and being in the home, it's not stimulating their mind. They get to a certain point where their quality of life just isn't as high as it should be, and these families really trust us, and that's everything we strive for, but we have had to have the hard conversations that your loved one isn't the best place for them is not in the home with a home health aide anymore, and, we think they'd be better off in a memory care, and then we said, "Why not get into that aspect where we are going to place them in the places we know?" We have patients in a lot of these communities. We know a lot of the people in these communities. Let's help them get to what's appropriate for them and their preferences geographically, and so that's why we added on the placement portion. Yeah.
Mm. This is already really good insights. I don't know about you. I'm just thinking when I explain home care to people, I almost pit home care against assisted living, skilled nursing
Yeah.
facilities. It's almost like us versus them.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that was your philosophy before meeting the owner of Gratitude was home care is home care. We don't do that other stuff. And there's a reason why we're different and there's a reason why this is better. But it sounds like your thinking has like matured and evolved in that it really is what the individual needs and wants and that's best for them. And
Mhm.
even as a home care company, we can partner with or it sounds like you all provide those services in these assisted livings. And so there's a
Yes.
lot of different ways to like piece that together that's best fit for the individual. How did it sounds like the owner helped you kinda, like, bring you into this mindset, and it sounds like you going to the assisted livings helped you grasp the value of them, but how I think that was difficult for you, like, how did you work through that, and how did you warm up to all of these concepts and how they fit together?
For me, there's a lot of juggling that these assisted livings have to do, and a lot of people are paying top dollar to be in these communities. So when it's recommended that they get one-on-one care, they're not happy. A lot of the families are like, "What am I paying for all this for?" But when I saw a couple of the assisted livings in the area, some of these places are massive, and and as people are aging in place, they're not getting around as well anymore. They're not as independent anymore, and like I said, this is assisted living. It's not one-on-one. So We're actually helping with the independence. Our caregivers are helping them be more independent in these communities because they just don't have the staff ratio all the time to get people where they need to be, make sure that they're down for their meals, make sure they're getting to activities, if they're not as mobile. So when I started seeing how much it really helped and the connections and the relationships that we were building with a lot of, similar people with the same mindsets as us, my mindset switched. It was pretty early on, and I mean, and seeing some of these places is they're amazing. They're
Yeah.
amazing.
And so you have pretty deep experience in, like, the New Jersey market, it sounds like, in all of your experience. From your previous from your family-owned company to that kinda, like, mid-company before Gratitude, did you already
Uh,
have pre-existing relationships with a lot of these communities and facilities, or were these all net new relationships that you've built since your time at Gratitude?
so my experience was through hospitals and discharges from hospitals. We had a lot of contracts with different organizations throughout the state, the VA, and there was a bunch, but n- that was what I was familiar with. I was not familiar with the assisted living. I was not familiar with independent living. I mean, I knew nothing. I knew nothing. So seeing this, it was all new. I was creating these relationships through our owner and the people here. So
Okay. So this is what I wanna unpack. I think people listening to you already may think, like, "Who is this guy?" He seems, like, really humble and calm and quiet in nature, but I
sure.
just wanna, like, interject right here and say, like, you're a dynamo and you've had a lot of success, and I think you're gonna undersell, like, the success that you've had in the last, I don't know, decade or so, and so
Okay.
I wanna ask you, you have no formal sales training, you've grown up in home care, you've built all these relationships organically. Because you don't have formal sales training, you don't like, you've learned all of this on the job, you've built these relationships just naturally and organically. What works for you? Like, from a sales perspective, you walk in to meet these people, again, with not a lot of training. At this point, you have a ton of experience, but, like, not a lot of formal training. What's your approach? Like, what's kinda like Nick's secret sauce and approach to being a person that they can trust and then ultimately pass referrals to? Like, what does that look like for you?
So it really is. I really rely on my overall knowledge of home care and the industry. And I can't stress enough how important it is to understand what's going on in operations. And when you know the caregivers, I mean, I told you I was driving caregivers. I still see some of these caregivers that I drove when I was younger, and they're the OG caregivers now. And but they have family that are now caregivers, and they're like, "Hey, weren't you with the?" And I'm, "Yep, that was me." So when you really pull in every aspect of the industry and a home care company, that general knowledge is really going to help you be transparent and build that comfort with accounts and patients alike. So no sales training, but I went in. I tried to be genuine. I still try to be genuine. And I think when people see how I can communicate with families, that's where the trust comes in. And my secret sauce, I can't give it all out, but this is what I tell people. So the industry, particularly here in New Jersey, is trending in a certain way. It's getting a lot younger. And 10 years ago, I was the only 15 years ago, sorry, I was the only 23-year-old around in this industry, and I was speaking to families, and people are like, "What the heck do you know about anything?" And, you're learning on the fly, and so it really is leaning on the knowledge of the industry and your experience, but listening. You gotta listen, and, gotta listen to everybody. What are these people's biggest needs in these accounts? Um and what can you do for them that's gonna make their life easier? So, you can walk into a hospital, assisted living, or whatever it is, and people could just look right in your hands. Where are my cupcakes today? Where's my coffee? And that's you're looking in the wrong hands for me because what I can tell you is that, say you're a social worker, what I can tell you is we don't know where we're gonna be in 10 years, but I'm gonna be in home care probably, and, as long as you're around and you trust me, we can grow together, and we can surround ourselves with professionals that are in it for the right reasons. When people really see that and they see how much easier that their life can be, ultimately, who you refer reflects upon you. And well, by referring over to me, to us, your gratitude is you're enhancing the patient experience because you put us in contact with the person that needs help. So I tell the people that I work with that as we grow, you can always rely on me. I'm always here for you, and I'll never make you look bad. I'll get you call me at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. I'll get out of bed. I'll take that call. So it's the loyalty. It's the passion, and when people see that and they recognize that, um, the good ones will take that and run with it for sure.
Mm. And when you talk about, like, demonstrating your depth of knowledge for home care, what does that look like? We talk a bit about, like, a data-driven approach, like, "Hey, look at our numbers, look at our stats, look at our readmission rates," like, I'm curious if you take that approach, or do you tell, like, your personal story, or do you talk about clients and caregivers, like, to demonstrate because sometimes you don't have a lot of time, and these relationships take a good amount of time to get to even the first referral and to get to lots of referrals, but it's hard or it's challenging to build that, like, initial moment of interest and that connection. I'm curious what you lead with. Do you lead with your personal story? Do you lead with data? Do you lead with, like, a relevant client story, or what's your approach to lead in?
Yeah. So I mean, it just number one, just being personable. You just have to be able to get along with anybody, and that's just I don't know. I guess it's a gift. I've never been awkward around people. This is an industry predominantly of females, and they say that people are more willing to work with people that look like them, and so I'm behind the 8 ball, and so what's what am I gonna do? And it's really just being a professional and chipping away until you get that shot and you get that referral, and you have to make the most of it. And, there's, I was in, a subacute, and there was an intern social worker that was helping a patient, and she was setting up meetings for, home care liaisons to come out and speak with them. And so I come in, I meet with her, we walk up to the room, she goes, "Just stay here for a second." And I go, "What's going on?" She goes, "Well, they're meeting with another home care company." And I go, "How many? How many have they met with?" And she goes, "Well, you'll be the fourth." And I go, "How many are they meeting with?" She goes, "4." I go, "So you saved me for last. In 4 hours, they've been talking to home care company." And I said before I walked in, I said, "You should come in, sit with me, and see how I do this, and see how I talk to the family because they're exhausted right now from talking to all these people." And I go, "And if I if I if I bring this client in, make sure I'm number 1 next time." So, anyway, long story short, yeah, that client went with me, and the social worker has now moved on as a case manager in a major hospital in the area, and that relationship, that moment right there, that shot that she gave me, it set us up for a lot of success, and now a major hospital in the area, she knows where to send people that need the help, so
That almost felt like a cliffhanger, like you open the door to go and speak with the family, and then it's like, "Wait, what did you say? How did it go? Like, tell us," it was like you, like, set it up, but it's like what is your philosophy to care? Like, this is one of the questions I had written down was like, what is your philosophy to care? How do you go in and help the family feel like you are the right fit for their family?
It really is about listening to them. People want to talk, and you know what? They they don't want home care. Nobody wants home care, okay? So, this is not something people want, this is something people need, okay? So, you need to know that right away, that you are going in and people don't want this. But it's listening, it's providing comfort, it's asking open-ended questions, okay, that are going to get them to talk, and it's like, I don't know, going to a therapist, they're a neutral source, they ask these type of questions, and you're just talking, and all of a sudden you feel better because you're talking it out, talking about, you're realizing what you need and the type of and but I think when it comes time for you to speak and put your 2 cents in, you have to be that professional, okay? You have to guide them. I mean, educating is so big, and 5% of people that are looking for home care have no prior experience to home care. So, a lot of the calls, a lot of the families that I speak to, they're like, "I'm new to this, so I don't know. I don't know." So, you have to shed light on what you see a lot of, okay? We know each patient is specific and everyone has their own needs, but I'm getting discharged next week and what do you think? Well, the first 2, 3 weeks are the highest point of readmittance. So we need to make sure that your transition home, wherever you call home, is a safe one and will get you back on your routine. And after these next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, let's see how your transition's doing, your recovery is going, and then let's dial back if you feel you need it. So it's being transparent, being the professional that they're looking for. And a lot of people don't realize they're calling for pricing and they're shopping around and then you have the right questions, you're listening, you're picking up on certain things that they're putting down, then all of a sudden they're asking you, well, have you seen this before? So they're asking for your experience. And then that's where you step in and you become that resource. And that really is, I think, back to your previous question, one of the things that I pride myself on, that we pride ourselves on, is that we are a resource first. People that call us, we are resources for them. Okay. If we can't help them directly, we are going to put them in the right hands. And that creates future business. That creates word of mouth referrals. And when you start getting word of mouth, oh, I got your card from my neighbor, when you start getting word of mouth referrals, it really shows that you're establishing something good. So, being a resource and making sure that they're put in touch with the right people if you can help them yourself. So,
Mm. And we've all been on the receiving end of that level of service. When I'm calling about something that you can't help me with, but you direct me to somewhere else that can help me, that is like the peak of customer service is
right.
like, wow, I came to you with a problem and you can't solve it, but you know who can solve it and you're pointing me to that. And then I go and then it works out. Like, I love that, in
Yes.
a world where customer service is, like, diminishing in quality, we all experience that side of it,
Mhm.
like, standout customer service, and in this case, in your position, it goes such a long way to develop that trust.
Yeah.
So you talk to a lot of families, like, you are still, like, very much on the front line
Mhm.
talking to families and then helping with that transition of care, et cetera, with your team. But then you're also developing the relationships with the referral sources themselves. How much of your role today fits into each of those buckets, just for context?
Yeah. So, you have to wear 2 different hats. And, the way that we're growing, there's been talk about, that we should probably have an intake coordinator, somebody that's going to speak to the families. I feel whatever way I feel about this doesn't matter. And we laugh about it quite a bit. I love talking to the families. That is something that I wish I could just do all day long. Some people really thrive going out and making the connections and establishing accounts, but when they finally give you your shot, you need to be able to put on the other hat and talk to those families. This is a very delicate, sensitive time in their lives, and you need to take off your networking hat and put on your active listening and resource and establish that trust and comfortability. So, it's not easy for a lot of people, and
Because those are 2 different skill sets, like you're saying. Want to go out and be vibrant and
Mhm.
drum up a relationship with someone that's tired and has talked to 10 other people that day, like, that's a skill set, and then, like you're saying, like, shifting gears, like, okay, now I'm talking to a family member, and I am listening, I'm
Yes.
doing 10% of the talking, they're doing 90%.
Mhm.
Like, it's 2 different skill sets, but I think what you're saying is in your role and a lot of other business development leaders, they have to be able to do both successfully.
Yeah.
And so, can I push you a little harder, like, quantify because 'cause you're also a leader and you manage people, and
Mhm.
so you kinda wear 3 hats, like your management hat, making sure your team is set up for success. You're still talking to families as if you are the intake coordinator, you are, and then also talking to and developing those referral accounts. Is it a 30-30 split or w what is kind of the breakdown of your day or your week?
Oh,
Ballpark. It
man.
doesn't have to be
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be
ballpark.
exact, but just
I
ballpark.
mean, yeah, yeah. I think that when you establish yourself with people that really do trust you, you can set up a schedule and you don't have to be on top of these accounts as much as you really think. And there, the people that are "What have you done for me lately?" type of accounts and that are looking in your hands, they want to see you every week and they want their coffee and but when you find people that are like, "I just want the best for my patients," then you don't need to be on top of them as much, but that takes a long time to establish. So, um, in terms of the split, when you get really busy, it all depends. It's really hard to establish a firm schedule because of just you don't know what the day to day is going to bring. You don't know how many people are going to be calling you for help. So, in terms of the leadership aspect, yeah, I have to make sure every morning that my team is set and they're focused before I even get myself set. And that has been a challenge for me, for sure. But I have great mentors and I have great people around me. So uh, we're there and we keep expanding our reach and we're doing a great job. So, I feel good about it, but yeah, I mean, we're probably 40-40. I don't know. It's hard, it's hard.
No, this is great. This is don't take this the wrong way. You're not giving me the answer that I wanted, but you're giving the answer that I probably need to hear, which
Right.
is there is no rhyme or reason. Before we started recording, I was asking you about January. How is January coming off of the holidays? January is a crazy time. You could be doing intake calls 80% of the time in January because that is where the need is, that is where your skill set is, and that's what the team has like agreed upon. And
Mhm.
so this is good for me to hear of, I'm like, give me, like put yourself in a box and give me the numbers and make it rigid, but you're telling me that is not the reality. One
Yeah.
month it could be 80, 10, 10. The next month it could be 40, 40, 20. Like there is no rhyme or reason, but that is the nature of your role in this business.
That's right, yeah. I mean, there are times that I'm going out and I'm gonna go see 6 accounts, within half a day, and I always start my morning in the office. I do things a little differently than how other business professionals would do, but there are times I pull out, I get on the highway and my phone rings, and I pull over and I get off the call, my phone rings again, and my phone rings again, and I just have to come back to the office and start, putting all this in, making sure that we have caregivers ready to go. So it's a day by day thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reality is you've had a lot of success, and so my mind is like, "Okay, give us, like, the formulas, like, how have you been successful?" But it's not that rigid. It's not that set in stone. Every day is different, and I think your skill set is just you're nimble and you're understanding, and you're listening to the people that are all talking to you, your
Right.
direct reports, your owner, your families, your referrals, like, you are just listening and assessing on a daily basis as to
Mhm.
where you're needed most.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean you can't be strategic and step out of that. You were talking to me about, like, December and, like, Q4 and planning and thinking about this year. Like, there's a time and a place for the strategic, but really your day to day is very much in the weeds, which is what you like and what you're good at, but also just the nature of home care.
Yes, for sure. It's definitely the nature, and but it also means something's working, so it's a good thing.
I want to talk about your top accounts. What I picked up from your last response was also you have spent years developing really strong relationships with the right fit partners for yourself. Like you said, your right fit isn't someone that needs you week after week, bringing them a coffee, checking in, leaving a note. Like, that's not the right fit partner for you.
Mhm.
But I think everybody wants what it sounds like your right fit, which is you develop this really deep relationship. They know you, they trust you, they know your level of care. And so when the need arises, you're the first to call and you're getting that referral. So you're getting a lot of inbounds and you're getting a lot of word of mouth. Who are your top of mind accounts? I'm just curious, are they hospitals? Are they assisted livings? Like, who for you personally, not necessarily your team, but, like, for you personally, who are your big accounts that you are most focused on and have developed these really strong relationships with?
So it would be hospitals, subacutes, rehabs, and assisted livings
Okay.
right there.
Those are the 3. And when you say those 3 categories, that's great. Is it several in each of those categories? Is there kinda like a big front runner in each of those categories?
It's several. I mean, so without giving everything away, but I'll just break it down. So in 2025 at Gratitude Homecare, we received referrals from 113 different accounts. So in the areas that we serve, that's 113. So it's that number really stuck out to me, and it means that you can't rely too heavily on any one or two. It's just not that's not the recipe for success. But we've worked extremely hard to be present where we are, hospitals, the assisted livings, in home health organizations, there are financial planners. I mean, I have realtors that call me that have known me for 10 years. So it's all about relationship building, and but the hospitals and the number one thing is you have to really establish the clientele that you're looking for, and this is private pay home care. So it's the top 5% of America. These are people that can afford our services, and it's not cheap. So you need to know the regions that you're looking at, and the people that have set themselves up for retirement, which I'm scared for when I get there because I don't know how I'll be able to handle this. But the growing population right now, the seniors really set themselves up well for retirement and care. So
So 113, I knew you had some numbers for me. 113, that is a huge number. You are one of like 3 sales, business development people in the organization. So 113 across 3 of you is a big number. Do a majority come from a small handful of those referrals, or is it very much divided across the 113?
it would be fair to say that probably 25%, 30% of them are really the ones where the most of our business is coming from right now. But and listen, it's not just my team here. It's our owner, our executive director, our director of care management. Everybody here has been handpicked from healthcare, okay, and put into a role that we have made a team where we're all on the same page. And so there's Yeah, I mean, it's probably 30, 40%, where we're getting the majority of our business, but, at the beginning of 2025, um, our owner said to me that she wants a new or revived account, 1 new or revived account a month. And, you know, anytime someone's gonna throw a challenge at me, I'm really, I get a little too intense about it. So, I think we hit that by, like, month 4. We hit the 12 by, like, month 3 or 4, and we ended with, I think it was 42 on the year, new accounts.
New accounts, okay. To be honest, 30 to 40%, I know this is all just kind of ballparking, but 30 to 40% coming of your business coming from, like, a select few of those referrals, that's actually not that much. I actually not, and I don't mean to discredit or downplay, like, the 113, like, there is
Mhm.
value in every single referral
Yeah.
from every single account, like you said, like, a financial planner could give you 1 referral. We know how much one 24/7 client could do in a year. It's like every single referral matters, but I
Mhm.
actually think it's interesting that only 30 to 40% come from, like, a majority. The other 60% are coming from all of these different sources, and you and I both know that adds up. Like, every
Right.
single referral matters, and so having that, like, wide net of accounts really does drive business. Even if that financial planner is only sending you a referral once every 6 months, that's
Right.
okay. You're top of mind, you got the referral, and that client is being taken care of, in your jurisdiction, and that's the end goal here.
Right. You need to have a wide reach, and it's not just within the healthcare industry. It's everywhere. So, yeah, it isn't that much, but some of the accounts that have become our biggest, okay, they were just established, a couple months ago, 6 months ago. So that's great. That's a true teller of what we're doing right now. So,
Mhm. Yeah, it's back to the business ebbs and flows. It's never gonna be the same every month with referral accounts. Their business is changing, your business is changing, people are changing. There's just, like, so many variables. I like what you said a minute ago. I was kind of quantifying the 113 to the 3 of you, but you said there's the owner, there's all these other people in the
mhm,
office. I
mhm.
think the best home care companies, every single person is doing a level of, like, sales and business development. Even the
Yes,
caregivers, they're walking
yes.
billboards. You hear that in this industry, like, they're walking billboards. Every single person has the ability to bring in net new business. And I
Mhm.
think that should be kind of baked into the culture. Like, the philosophy of every business is we're all doing this. Like, yes, there are people with official titles, official roles, and responsibilities doing this, but really everyone has the opportunity to bring in referrals via any one of these sources or other sources.
Absolutely, and, I'm glad you brought that up because, eh, like I said before, I start my day in the office and, there are some sales professionals that you don't see, for a week, a couple days. They're out in the field, they're doing their thing. What I do is I need to talk to everybody here. Everybody is on the same page. Everybody, including the caregivers, make them part of the business development team. Okay, you go to the coordinators or schedulers, "Hey, this is I got a referral from a new account. Just letting you know this is our first case here. We've been working really hard to get here." And they're like, "Oh, no problem. I got you. All right, we're gonna" and it goes from them to our nurses, letting our nursing know that who oversee our caregivers in the field, like letting them know this is a new account, let's make sure that we're um on our A game. Not that we aren't ever, but just a little extra, and it even goes as far as you're not gonna see many people do this, but picking up the phone the night before a new account and calling the caregiver and making them feel like they are part of something that is really special, and which they are. I mean, without caregivers, we're not having this conversation. So, but picking up the phone the night before, and giving them a call, letting them know, "I've been talking to his family. This is really big for our business. This is really big for what I've been doing." Making them feel that they are part of something bigger than the really hard task of caring for somebody that really needs this help, it gives them that extra motivation, and I can't stress enough how important it is to keep everyone on the same page and make sure everybody has that mindset because when you all have that long term, that big picture goal in mind, the day to day, yeah, you can get dragged down by the day to day, but as long as you all have the big picture, um, it works out well. It works out well. So,
I get the sense that you're like the glue of
yeah.
this organization, holding just everyone together, which is such a key role because we talk about in business development, developing relationships with people externally.
Mhm,
It's equally as important to develop relationships with people internally. You to the nurses, you to the caregivers, you to every single person internally, because like you're saying, and I'll tell you where I'm going with this. When you get a referral, that is so important that every single person understands how important that is so that you can deliver on it because what you do with that referral dictates whether or not you're gonna get the next referral. And so you could just willy-nilly, nonchalantly, the caregiver knows that they need to show up and, like, the team knows what needs to happen, but it just, could just roll forward, but you take the time to develop that trust and those relationships internally, call these people, give them the context, give them the level of importance that this is, like, those little details matter with every
mhm.
single referral, and those referrals lead to more referrals, and so doing this just, like, extra work internally really adds up and matters.
It does, and it it's hard to think about, day to day, but when you just add they're little things, they're small things. When you can just add these things to your day to day, when you take a step back and you realize what you've done in the last couple years and you see where you are, all of these little things, they've added up to something that is really special.
Yeah, that's been my latest, like, thinking lately, and I sent you a document that had this line on there, but home care is won or lost in the details. Like,
Mhm.
home care is not hard. I think a lot of people would say that, like, but it's the details. It's you calling the caregiver the night before their shift with this new referral. That dictates that single action could dictate the success or the failure with a large account that could then
Absolutely.
refer you, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars of business or beyond.
Mhm.
Like, one referral matters, one phone call matters, and home care is literally won or lost in the details. And what you're saying is a great example of that. It's just all these tiny micro touch points that when we talk about scaling, we have to think about, okay, how do we document these processes? How do we
Sure.
document where those phone calls happen so that we make sure we do that every single time? Like, that's another conversation, but it really is these details because my question, this is like kind of a blanket question, is like, what are your tactics for closing every referral or majority of referrals? What would you say to that? It's like it's kind of what we're talking about is like there's
Yeah.
so much more to closing a referral and having success with it.
It it's all in the details, So, I mean, there are things that are small as, you're on the phone with I'm on the phone with someone's, loved one who, mom needs help. She's Italian. She used to love to cook. She can't cook anymore. Her hands aren't as steady. And do we have any Italian caregivers? We don't have any Italian caregivers, but this is what we can do. We have a really good caregiver. She's not Italian. I just ordered a Italian cookbook off Amazon, and I'm gonna drop it off tomorrow, and mom and the caregiver together, okay, can make a meal. So, like, it's something so small that can really satisfy, the patient's family, and we've done these little things time and time again, and the feedback that we get is so incredible, and in turn, the feedback that our accounts get is so incredible, like, they're willing to go the extra mile, okay, and it's not even that hard, you order a cookbook, it's nothing, so
But it's
it's really the details, the small things.
the personalization
Mhm.
that is memorable. And then, like you said, the account, the referrer gets word of what happened in the home, game over. Like,
Yeah,
you went the extra mile that nobody else has gone.
yeah,
And that in turn will keep them sending referrals to you day in and day out. And like you're saying, it's these really simple acts that are so
mhm,
personalized to the individual that goes such a long way.
yeah. for sure, for sure.
And that the biggest way to identify what that person wants, like the cookbook example, really comes down to probably the intake and that conversation and the listening that happens. What's your approach to just making sure you can extract those details that really matter to the individual or to the family?
Yeah, so it's having the right open-ended question. You have to let them talk. They will talk. Everything that you need out of the intake can be done with just a couple questions. So some people will pull out an intake form and be like, "Okay, I need your name, I need your date of birth, I need your address, and who's your primary care physician." If you have the right couple questions, you're gonna learn all that. You're never gonna have to ask those. It's never gonna feel like that the person that's calling you or the person that you're speaking to is going through an intake process. You're just doing it because they're talking and they're telling you everything.
Mm.
So that and, making sure you got your notepad, you're writing everything down and and then, okay, likes Italian food. Yeah, everyone likes Italian food, but how much does she like it? She likes cooking Italian food. So let's get her a cookbook. Okay. So, it's being creative, but it's really the active listening, not trying to um not trying to put too much on their plate. You want to educate them, but you don't want to overwhelm them. You want them to work out their problems with you on the phone, and it's going to happen by asking the right questions and letting them talk it out.
Mm. How do you strike the balance though of, this is medical grade care, there's obviously a need. How do you balance, like, I'm just imagining you having this conversation. How do you balance making sure you cover like the base needs
Hmm.
while also extracting those personal details? Like how do you whet my palate a little bit of like how you do that successfully to make sure you get both?
So yeah, you really need a really clear understanding of what's going on clinically and the limitations. And there's a set of questions for that too. There's a set of open-ended questions for that too. But um the matchmaking process is really important. And we don't our schedulers don't just shift fill. They don't see an open shift and they just fill it with whoever's available. We need to make sure that we can't risk our quality of care by just shift filling. We need to make sure that these are the right caregivers, somebody that has experience with, you don't put someone who works with people who have hip replacements on a dementia patient. You have to make sure it's the right fit. So, yeah, you have to get down to the nitty gritty and make sure that you have a full understanding. But there's also a lot of times that people aren't going to give you the full understanding. So that's where nursing assessments and stuff that I can't do really come into play. So I get as much information as I can, and we go from there.
Okay.
Did I ignore your question again?
No, 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 no. No, it's a hard question to answer because it's so personal. Like that's cliche to say, but every single conversation warrants like its own set of questions. You ask one open-ended question, and there it's like this podcast. It's like I ask you one thing, you respond, and then we just like snowball from there. That's how good intakes and assessments go. Is they say
Right,
something, and then you know to dig in and like just follow the conversation.
right, right.
I wanna end here, these last few minutes. You have had a lot of success, and I knew you were gonna downplay it, but I would just like to share, like 45% year-over-year growth the last few years, and you guys are attempting to tackle that again this year. That type of growth is incredible, but it is not easy, and it's not something that just happens. It's something that you proactively strategize and work towards, and it's, again, all these micro moments that lead up to that type of growth. I just am
Right.
curious, starting this year, New year, I know January is kind of like hot and fast and a little bit of everything, but what are you setting your sights on for this year as far as maintaining those accounts, developing new accounts? Like where's your focus as we start this year?
We have a lot planned out. Obviously we want to keep up the pace and do something that's unprecedented as far as I know. And the growth that we're seeing is amazing, and it it takes a lot of upkeep, and you have to make sure that you're staying on top of it. You can't, but we can't lose focus of the big picture. So, you know, it, I think the main thing that has really driven success, and what we're going to continue to do for 2026 is home home care. You need to have the perfect balance of short term gain and long term goals. Like these short term things that'll pay off, and I want to be in a major hospital system. I'm working with one of the people on my team right now. She really wants to be in a major hospital system, and we're chipping away at that together. And I think that what our owners have done for me, I'm trying to do for them for 2026. And the way that they've showed me how to do certain things, I'm gonna portray onto them. I mean, the mentorship that I have received, and the I don't know, I guess that equates into the success that we've had. I want other people to feel the way that I feel. This is not I love coming into work every day, because it's really amazing to be part of something special. And I told you, I fell out of love with this industry. Uh, there was a part of me that wanted no part of this anymore, and to feel as passionate and excited as I am to continue this on a day-to-day basis, I want everyone to feel that way. And whether it's my team, whether it's schedulers, coordinators, nurses, caregivers, that's the way we operate. And the culture is great. It's huge, and it means everything. So I want to pass that on, and see other people be as successful in their own region and their own field that we have been doing as a company, and then add to that. I think that's the only way to really continue on with this growth, is by expanding our reach. And 'cause you know, it'll burn you out quick to try to, keep up this pace,
Mm.
so.
Yeah, expanding the reach, but also, like, what you're saying is, like, deepening the passion, making sure
Mm,
everyone in it feels it, believes it, wants it, and has the endurance, because this gets hard. I wanted to
mhm,
actually ask you that. You said you wanted out during the pandemic. I think a lot of people wanted out.
mhm,
Nobody wanted to go through that. It burned people out, including
right.
someone like yourself that, like, loves this and has, like, a personal passion for this, like, got to the point of burnout. How has that experience helped you even now? I know you say you love coming to work every day, doesn't mean there's days that are hard and long and you don't
Yeah.
wanna do this, but what like, how where do you dig deep to? Like, what's inside of you that can, like, pull you through those hard moments?
It Yella, our owner, told me once she saw I was getting a little burnt out, and, it's not often you have an owner that, like, sends you a text, like, "You need to take a week off." She gets it. She's been on the business development side, and, before she was an owner, she was executive director, and she was in business development and home care, so she recognized it. But, she told me, "Nick, when it starts to get a little repetitive and you're not feeling as passionate, like, get down to the little things. Go talk to a family. Go talk to a family that we already have. Like, just go see one of the patients that we currently are active and with us. Go talk to the caregivers. I, I always joke. When I came back into the industry, there was a coordinator that just was in this company that I joined on to, and it turns out I used to drive her grandmother when I was 17, 18 years old. Her grandmother always remembers, because every time we stopped in Teaneck, we always had to get bagels. Always. She said, "Nick, pull over. We got to get bagels." I'm like, "Come on, I got a schedule." Like, but it was the little things. Like, at the time, it was annoying. It was the little things like that would really, I think back on and I laugh. So it's like, go to a caregiver, bring that caregiver her bagels, have a laugh with the caregiver. Just breaking it down, and I don't know, the little things that you remember, that, I was so fond of when growing up and having caregivers in my home and, breaking it down and getting back to the basics and, seeing the joy that you are giving people. And so, I started when she told me when my owner t I'm back and forth, sorry.
It's okay.
When my owner told me to, break it down, go see a patient, I started doing that, and honestly, I don't know if I could have ever gotten better advice. It held up, it held off the burnout, and so, I still do it, and when I go to, these accounts, particularly the assisted livings that I'm going to see, I'll always stop in and see our patients and talk to the caregivers, and just it brings light to, um, sometimes stressful days, so
That's what I was gonna say, brings out the light in you, and I can relate just kind of on a personal level, when I'm down, to get out of the funk, you just talk to people. Like, a
mhm,
good conversation, a good just, like, honest, raw conversation with someone that you care about or someone that you don't even know, like, you just
yeah,
have a good conversation, it pulls you right out of, like, the dark days, and it sounds like that's the case for you too, is talking to the families, talking to the people that are impacted every single day by the day in and day out behind the scenes work that you do. Go talk to the people that benefit from that. That will pull you
yes,
out of any funk, out of any hard, kind of dark time, is just talk to people and talk to the people that you care about and that you are
mhm,
doing work for, and that'll just zap the bad mood. I agree. I think that works
yeah,
personally and professionally for me as well.
sure it does, yep, yep,
Nick, this has been amazing. I feel like this has been like a little bit unconventional for me. I talk to a lot of like owners and C-suite, but this has been really like healthy and refreshing. Again, I think you've like downplayed but also simplified like what this is for you. When you
mhm,
talk about being a business development leader, this is what it is. No 2 days are the same. You are building relationships internally, externally. You are supporting your team. You are prioritizing every single client like they are your only client. Like, it really is just a bunch of micro efforts that lead to the 45% year-over-year growth. I could sit here and ask you, like, how do you do that? The conversation we just had, that is how you do it. You literally just focus and double down on these really important moments and touch points and tasks and phone calls that go further than any, high level strategy or tactic ever could. It's really just these micro moments that go a long way. So this has been a great conversation. I feel like you have shared things that I wasn't expecting, but it's been amazing and helpful all the same. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Miriam. I really appreciate, being on your podcast. I've been listening for the last year and change, and I'm a big fan, and yeah, you have some really in-depth interviews, and, it was kind of intimidating to come on here to share what I have, but, I appreciate you, just taking the time to talk to me, so thank you.
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine. I think you've done yourself and your company justice, and I'm excited to follow your path this year. You guys have another big year ahead of you. You told me before the show this past year, 2025, was really about like reestablishing your base,
Mm,
strengthening your foundation. And now this year, you just want to like double down and compound on that reestablishment. And so I'm excited to see what's in store for you this year. I'm sure it'll be nothing but great things, but you and I both know it's a lot of work and
yeah.
a lot of time that you'll have to put in to achieve these goals. But I'm confident that you can do it and we'll stay connected and see what we can do together. So, Nick, thanks for joining me in the lab.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.